George and Jennie Sodder, along with 9 of their children, were asleep when a fire started in the house at around 1 a.m. George, Jennie, and 4 of their children escaped: Sylvia, Marion, John, and George Jr.
On Christmas Eve 1945, a devastating fire ravaged the Sodder family's home.
The children that remained in the house were Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jennie, and Betty, and the 5 of them shared 2 bedrooms between them, both rooms upstairs.
But what happened next defies belief. 5 children were trapped upstairs, yet when the fire was extinguished, there was no sign of them. No bodies, no remains. Just a pile of ashes.
Marion, one of the children who escaped the fire, ran to the neighbor's house to call the fire department. But the operator didn't respond, and when a different neighbor attempted to call, she also got no response from the operator. That same neighbor actually drove to town and found the fire chief, F.J. Morris, in person.
Experts say it's impossible for all traces of the children to disappear in a fire, but that's exactly what happened. George and Jennie Sodder wouldn't accept the tragic explanation they were given. They uncovered shocking clues, including sightings of the children in a passing car and the deliberate cutting of their phone line. Was this a cruel, tragic accident or something far darker? Why didn't anyone find their bodies? The mystery of the Sodder children remains unsolved, and some theories point to a sinister plot that still haunts the town today. Don't miss this spine-chilling case that still baffles investigators and stirs debate. The fire on Christmas Eve 1945. The Sodder family's life was shattered by a fire that ravaged their home in Fayetteville, West Virginia. It was around 1:00 a.m. when George and Jennie Sodder woke up to the smell of smoke. Panic set in as they realized their home was on fire. The flames were already spreading quickly, and the couple rushed to get their children out of the house. 4 of their children managed to escape with them, but 5 others were still upstairs, trapped in their bedrooms. George immediately tried to rescue them, but something seemed to be preventing him. As he rushed to save his children, he discovered the ladder that was always leaning against the side of the house was missing. He attempted to use his truck to help, but it refused to start. To make matters worse, the water barrel, which he could have used to put out the fire, was frozen solid. It felt as though an invisible force was working against him, stopping him from reaching his children. As the fire continued to rage, George's attempts to rescue the remaining children were unsuccessful. By the time the fire was finally put out, the house was nothing more than a pile of ashes. But there was something strange: no bodies were ever found. The fire department, which arrived hours later, claimed the bodies were completely incinerated in the fire. But experts questioned this explanation. Even in the worst of fires, bones and teeth are usually left behind, yet there was no trace of the children. This bizarre and unexplainable outcome raised alarm bells. How could 5 children simply disappear without a trace, especially in a fire? The Sodder family couldn't accept the official story and decided to investigate further, determined to find the truth about what had happened to their children. The investigation after the fire. George and Jennie Sodder refused to accept that their children were lost forever. They couldn't believe that their 5 kids had been completely incinerated. The fact that no remains were found seemed impossible, and they began to question everything. Their search for answers led them to some troubling discoveries. Witnesses reported seeing some of the children in a passing car on the night of the fire. This added a strange twist to the case. Could the children have been taken before the fire started? If so, who would want to harm them? And why would they leave no trace of their whereabouts? Further suspicions arose when a telephone repairman came forward. He claimed that the family's phone line had been deliberately cut prior to the fire. The timing seemed too coincidental, and it made George and Jennie wonder if someone was trying to prevent them from calling for help that night. Desperate for answers, the Sodders took their search to a new level. They put up a billboard in the town, offering a large reward for any information that could help them locate their missing children. This led to a few more possible leads, but nothing concrete. The mystery only deepened, and the family's determination to find the truth grew stronger. As the years passed, George and Jennie continued their investigation, refusing to let the case be forgotten. Even after decades of unanswered questions, they never gave up hope that one day, the mystery of what happened to their children would finally be solved. But despite all their efforts, the answers remained elusive. Theories. As the investigation into the disappearance of the Sodder children continued, several theories began to emerge. The most commonly discussed one was that the fire might have been part of a larger, more sinister plot. Some believed that the children were kidnapped before the fire started, and the fire was set to cover up the crime. One theory that gained traction was linked to George Sodder's outspoken criticism of Mussolini's fascist regime in Italy. George, an immigrant from Italy, had publicly criticized Mussolini and his government. Some theorized that the fire and the disappearance of his children were acts of retaliation from those sympathetic to the Italian dictator. Could the fire have been orchestrated as revenge for George's vocal stance against Mussolini? Another theory involved local conspiracy. Some believed the fire and the disappearance were connected to corrupt local officials or criminal activity. Fayetteville was a small, tight-knit community, and many suspected that someone with power in the town may have been involved in the disappearance. The fact that the fire started so suddenly, and that the children were never found, only deepened suspicions that there was more to the story than a tragic accident. Additionally, there were whispers that someone within the family might have been involved. While this idea was never substantiated, some speculated that a family member could have played a role in the children's disappearance, either intentionally or through some form of complicity. However, this theory was highly controversial, and no solid evidence ever emerged to support it. Despite these theories, no conclusive proof was ever found to explain what happened to the Sodder children. Theories ranged from conspiracy and retaliation to mere accidents, but none could fully unravel the mystery that haunted the town and the Sodder family for decades. The mystery of the Sodder children's disappearance remains one of the most chilling and unsolved cases of the 20th century. Despite decades of investigation and numerous theories, the truth behind what happened that fateful Christmas Eve is still unknown. George and Jennie Sodder spent the rest of their lives searching for answers. They followed up on every lead, spoke to anyone who might have had information, and never stopped looking for their missing children. But as time went on, the answers they sought remained elusive. With no bodies ever found and no clear explanation for the events of that night, the mystery only deepened. As the years passed, the case became a haunting reminder of the unsolved questions that still linger. Why were the children never found? Was there a cover-up? Did someone truly want to harm the Sodder family, or was it all a tragic accident? These questions have never been answered. The Sodder parents passed away without knowing the truth, but their story continues to haunt those who hear it. The fate of Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jennie, and Betty Sodder remains one of the great unsolved mysteries. Despite the passage of time, their disappearance still raises questions about the darkness that may have been at play that Christmas Eve. This case reminds us that not all mysteries are meant to be solved, and some questions may never have answers. The mystery of the Sodder children is a story that will likely continue to haunt us for years to come. The fate of the Sodder children remains one of the most haunting mysteries of the 20th century, and after all these years, the questions only grow stronger. Do you believe the fire was just a tragic accident, or do you think something more sinister was at play? Share your thoughts in the comments below. This case will make you question everything. And if you're intrigued by unsolved mysteries, make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more chilling stories like this. Don't miss our next video. The chilling case of Brandon Swanson, where did he go? Coming soon! You won't believe the twists in that one!